Hello, my name is Pam Sloan. I pray you are all well. The book that I chose for this presentation is called Resonant Leadership, Renewing Yourself and Connecting with Others Through Mindfulness, Hope, and Compassion. The authors are Richard Boyatis and Annie McKee. These authors also wrote Primal Leadership with Daniel Goleman. As such, the foreword for this book is also written by Daniel Goleman. The book is about 280 some pages and it contains 9 chapters with 2 appendices. The lessons are taken from research of businesses, large and small organizations around the world, schoolyards in South Africa, and boardrooms in global centers of commerce. All of these include fields of studies such as management, medicine, psychology, and philosophy. Now, let's look at the definition for resonance. Are you in sync with each other? Are you in tune with each other? Deeply evocative, which means bringing strong images, memories, or feelings to mind. What makes a leader resonant? In today's political, economic, and technological world, there is a great need for resonant leaders. Resonant leaders are moving people powerfully, passionately, and purposefully, the 3 Ps. They give themselves to others while caring for themselves. Resonant leaders engage in the renewal to ensure they can sustain resonance over time. These great leaders are awake, aware, and attuned to themselves and to others. AAA. They are emotionally intelligent. In addition to knowing and managing themselves, they can manage the emotions of others to build strong, trusting relationships. They know emotions are contagious, and their own emotions are powerful drivers of people's moods and finally their performance. It is insufficient to just have intellect or knowledge of leadership to be a resonant leader. Resonant leaders blend these qualities with human relationship to produce success. Leaders develop their resonance and renew themselves by cultivating mindfulness, hope, and compassion. These qualities will then spread to others. How does a leader become dissonant? There are leaders who should not have been leaders in the first place. They are dissonant to begin with. Dissonance is just a way of life for them. Once you are resonant or never so, dissonant leaders wreak havoc. Being resonant is not an easy task, and sustaining it is even harder as you must give yourself constantly. Organizations tend to put up with people's destructive behavior, tolerate discord, keep mediocre leadership for a long time, especially when a person appears to produce results. There's also not much time or encouragement given to cultivate skills and practices. Leaders are pressured to produce results, and when they fail, they are pounced hard. Leaders sacrifice too much for too long, and they reap too little. They suffer from CEO disease. This is explained as people who can see that the leader is slipping away into dissonance and they will not tell the truth about what they see. The leader is regarded as above it all. So people will either actively dislike the leader or idolize them. How does a leader become dissonant? Sacrifice syndrome. Successful leaders are the ones who most easily lose themselves along the way. Their constant sacrifice and stress in effective leadership causes them to fall into dissonance. Carriers of sacrifice syndrome can inflict stress on others around them, just like the COVID-19. Leadership is exciting, stressful, and lonely. It can create distance between people. Leaders are cut off from support and relationships. Over time, the leaders become exhausted. They burn out or burn up. Their role as leaders become a heavy burden. They fall into internal disquiet, unrest, and distress. Their emotions become volatile. They drive people too hard and sometimes in the wrong direction. They cause others to be frustrated or be in fear. Often, they are completely unaware they are causing damage. Dissonance leadership becomes the default when we don't handle the sacrifice syndrome. Dissonance happens because of power stress. Choices are not clear. Communication and decision making are incredibly complex, leading with ambiguous authority and loneliness at the top. Leaders experience power stress daily, and this ultimately leads to chronic stress. Stress is common in leadership, but the problem is there is too little recovery time. The renewal cycle. It is crucial to manage the syndrome of sacrifice. The key is to return to resonance again and again. These leaders renew themselves in a holistic process that involves the mind, body, heart, and spirit. Self-sacrifice in their jobs will only work if they tend to self. The authors explain the function of the brain and the release of hormones that either help or hinder situations. The authors also share that they have seen leaders who deliberately and consciously step out of destructive patterns to renew themselves physically, mentally, and emotionally. These optimistic and yet realistic leaders can manage constant crisis and chronic stress without giving in to exhaustion, fear, or anger. They can motivate themselves and others by focusing on possibilities, turn situations around, and find opportunities in challenges and creative ways to overcome obstacles. There are three key elements for true renewal to take place. That's mindfulness, hope, and compassion. To cultivate these elements, we need a process called intentional change, which is a deliberate focus identification of our personal vision and our current reality and conscious creation of and engaging in a learning agenda. Here's a chart of the cycle of sacrifice and renewal. On your right is effective leader. When leaders push too hard, it goes into sacrifice syndrome. Leaders face crisis and threat. That eventually leads to an ineffective or unsustainable leadership. However, to your left, when leaders practice renewal cycle comprising of mindfulness, hope, and compassion, it results in resonant relationships, and the leaders become effective and the leadership is sustainable. Now let's explore mindfulness, hope, and compassion. Mindfulness is being aware of self and others. By being mindful, we are awake, aware, and we attend to the world around us. It is important to attend to the emotions of others, as this is the seat of all action and reaction. We should not over-focus on problems, as our vision can be impaired when we are under stress. The authors suggest creating quiet moments to tune in to what is going on inside and around us. They also suggest meditation, prayer, listening to music, exercise, being in nature, and so forth. Hope. Hope allows us to believe that the future we envision is achievable. We move toward that vision while inspiring others. However, the vision needs to be realistic. Visioning is a powerful positive attractor from our brain that can lead to renewal. We will have more positive thoughts, superior coping abilities, less depression. To cultivate hope that leads to renewal and sustainable resonance, the leader needs to have dreams and aspirations and be in touch with people around them. The leader needs to be optimistic and believe in their ability to make change. The leader must see the future as realistic and feasible. Compassion. Compassion occurs when we understand people's wants and needs, and we feel motivated to act on our feelings. The authors offer 3 components of compassion that includes empathy for others, care for others, and a willingness to act on those feelings. Leaders need to create a culture of compassion. Together, these elements can counter the destructive effects of power stress and keep us continually in a state of renewal. And thus, they help to produce resonant relationships and great leadership while helping leaders and people around them to renew themselves. This concludes my presentation on resonant leadership. Thank you and God bless.